Heidi ho there, my lovies. Welcome back to Crazy But Not Dangerous. I'm Shorty Vaughn, and I'm so glad to have you back in my kitchen with me. Yay, hooray. So tonight I'm going to be making some hummus. I got a call not too long ago from my sister Sherry and her husband Danny. They live in our North Country, and they're going to be coming down tomorrow, staying with us for a few days. And when my sister Sherry married Danny, we really married families in. We were close with his parents, his brother and sister, and his mother felt very much like a grandmother to me, because mine lived all the way in Tennessee, and I hardly ever got to see either of my grandmothers except for vacations, and then later my grandma Bernice would come and spend the winters with us, so I got to see her a little bit more often. But in between, we had Mrs. C. That was Danny's mom, Mrs. C. And that's what I called her. That's what everyone I knew called her. And we just loved her. This woman, every time you would walk into her house, it was always filled with the smells of cooking. Every time you saw her, she always had a kind word for anybody that she passed on the street, and she adored Melissa and I. And we loved her right back. The feeling was absolutely 100% mutual. So this is a recipe that she taught me. And every time I see Danny, he always asks me, do you still make that dish that my mother taught you? I say, no, you know what? I have not made that in a really long time. I should make that. And I tell him that every time that I see him. So hot diggity, we're going to be making it tonight. And I am going to let that sit overnight in my refrigerator, because it is one of those dishes that just gets better, the next day. So when they come in tomorrow, I'll heat that up, and that's what we're going to have for dinner. And in the meantime, I'm also going to be making my white bean hummus. Yeah, I've said it, white bean hummus. I'm going there. Absolutely. You do not have to just use chickpeas to make hummus. You can use any bean or legume that you have access to. I'm going to say it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have white beans. I wanted to buy hummus when I was at the grocery store. However, hummus pre-made was outside of my budget. And then they didn't have any dried chickpeas over at Winco in the bulk bins. So, what are you going to do? And then I went to go look at chickpeas, and by the time I bought 2 cans of chickpeas, well, I could have just gone and bought the pre-made stuff, so it was a conundrum. I decided on white northern beans, and I think that is just fine. I think these are very versatile. They have a very mellow flavor, in my opinion, and I think they are just good for all occasions, to be honest with you. Let's go ahead and get these in here. And I've got my food processor out. Now, this might not look like your food processor. This is a Roku. Andrew brought this for me as an anniversary gift because he's very romantic. And pretty much, yeah, he knew that I would love it. It would last a lifetime, probably beyond our lifetime. One of these days, my little niece, Cookie, she'll be zipping her grandbabies up. Some homemade, baby food in it or something like that, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to start off with some chickpeas. Now I've got my own self doing it. With some white, great northern beans. I have 2 really lovely cloves of garlic. Those come from my friend Karen. Hey, Karen, honey. Using up your garlic, baby. She grows those in her garden in Washington State. Yay, hooray. I also have about 1/4 cup of lemon juice. I have some tahini. Now, this tahini has been in my cabinet waiting for its great day. Yay, hooray, because I got this for free over at Albertsons. It was one of my free items with reward points, and I'm just going to give that a good shake up. Also, with tahini, what I like to do is give it a good smell, because it is nut-based. So once opened, I would definitely put this in my refrigerator for the longest lasting product. Because here where I am, if I left this in the cupboard, it could be rancid before I even opened it up. So just give it a good smell. Make sure that it is still delicious and ready for prime time, being its best selves. Also going to need, about a quarter cup of tahini. And that's yummy. Yay, hooray. Yippee skippy. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in there. Drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. There we go. Now I'm going to put my lid on. And I'm just going to give this a zip, zip, zip. And yeah, here we go. If yours wasn't blending very well, if it needed a little bit more moisture, don't hesitate to add a few tablespoons of water. Absolutely. But this makes quick, easy work of it. Let's go ahead and give it a taste test. Okay. All right. It's getting there. I can dig it. You know what it needs? It needs some spices. So it's going to need... let's start off with half a teaspoon of cumin. And a few shaky shakes of chili powder. And a few shaky shakes of ground turmeric. I know, fancy. We're getting all fancy in here. I got it off. It's a Christmas miracle. And a few shaky shakes of that. It seems like it has plenty of garlic, so I don't think it's going to need any more. It definitely needed salt. And pepper. And it's going to need some olives. Absolutely. I can get behind that. I can dig it, baby. Ooh, I love that tahini, though. That sesame taste, that is so good. In fact, you know what I crave sometimes? Sesame bagels. Oh, yeah. Big time. And then I have some roasted red peppers. Got these over at the Dollar Tree. That's my favorite place to buy them. And they are good and they are delicious. And I love roasted red pepper hummus. That is my all-time favorite. So let's go ahead and just give these a zip up, and then we'll taste them again and see if it needs anything else. Does it need more cumin? Because I did not wildly season those beans. I wanted them to be good for, any purpose between now and the end of the week, whatever I needed to bulk up a dish for, because really, beans are a great way to bulk up a budget dish. They are so versatile. Maybe you only want to use 1/2 pound of meat, but you still want plenty of protein for your loved ones. Beans, lentils, the whole 9 yards. Shoot the moon. All right, let's go ahead and give this another whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, that's looking spectacular. Oh my goodness, it smells even better. Let's give it a little taste and see what it tastes like. Oh, that's really good. I think we could even go for, I'm going to say it, Mine can go for the whole teaspoon of cumin. Absolutely. So I'm going to put a little bit more in there. I love that deep, rich, smoky taste of cumin. I think that's fantastic. And maybe just a tad more salt. Mm-hmm. Oh, that is really good. Now mine is still a little bit chunky. I want it just a little bit more pureed than that. Here, I'll bring it down and show you. Okay, so that is almost perfect. I just want mine a little bit smoother than that. But you can, add as much as you want. You can make it as smooth as you want. How will you flavor your hummus? Let me know down below. All right, well, I think that looks pretty spectacular. I'm going to go ahead and get it into this bowl. Yay, hooray. Oh, if you're looking back there and you're wondering where my coffee pot is, well, I did it again. I killed another coffee maker. Yeah, my Prilosec cheap coffee maker did not last. And so now we have laid that one to rest, so to speak. Well, it's hanging out in the garage because I wanted to ask y'all if you wanted to see me bash it to death with a baseball bat, because that's kind of how I feel today. So if you want to see me bash that old coffee maker with a baseball bat, you let me know down below. And I'd be happy to do that for you. That might be a fun little short. So I was able to pick up this Mainstays coffee maker. It only came in black. And it's a little bit awkward because the on button is on one side. The fill line is on the other side. And you can't see the light, from the doorway to see if there's coffee brewed or not. You got to walk all the way up to it and kind of look around the corner. But you know what? It was $12 from Walmart, and it came the same day as the other one broke through delivery, and I was thrilled about that. So I'm not gonna badmouth it too much. Fingers crossed that we get more than 6 months out of this baby. And I understand it's probably my fault. It probably was not meant to brew that many pots of coffee in one day. And but I've had cheap coffee makers. I've had expensive coffee makers. I've had very expensive coffee makers. And for me, none of them ever seem to last. We've used filtered water. We've used distilled water. We've used all kinds of water. I clean it on the regular, and they don't last. We just wear them out faster than almost that they can make them. Anyhow, this was such a great value at $12. I did buy two. One for now and one for later. An heir and a spare, baby. Anyhow, so that's what's new over here. And I am going to put this in the refrigerator. I'm going to serve this with pita crackers and some Syrian bread. We do have a nice Middle Eastern store down the street from us. And I do love a little bit of Syrian bread, so I'm going to get some of that. I know my brother-in-law will love that too. And a little bit of white bean hummus. We'll see if he knows the difference. What do you think? I think that his mother, Mrs. C, would completely approve in using what you've got. And I just loved her. And I was so grateful when she taught me to make some dishes. Because really, my only exposure to food up until that point was, pretty much what you got at a restaurant, what you got at the McDonald's, and then what my mother could cook. And my mother cooked, well, she was from Tennessee. So she would tell you that it was down home, everyday cooking, and we ate a lot of cornbread, and we ate a lot of beans, and we ate a lot of fried chicken, and this made a lot. Now, this made way more than the $6 container of hummus that I was looking at. This made a lot. This looks super duper fantastic. Now, if you don't have a food processor and you still would like to make your own hummus, well, you're just going to have to kind of do it the old-fashioned way with a potato masher. And this might be something to get the kids involved in because it's going to take a considerable amount of mashing. You know, you can all just take turns and start off slow and add a little bit more beans and mash them up, and a little bit more olive oil and a little bit more tahini, and just keep mashing them up in a really big bowl until you have the desired consistency. Now, it might not be this smooth, but it will be delicious. And isn't that always the most important thing? So yeah, this might be a fun thing to do with all the kids. Absolutely, I can get behind that. Teaching some sustainability, yay hooray, some self-reliance. You can't beat that with a stick. That looks delicious. Now I'll just put a little bit of olive oil on it right before I serve, and I'll serve it with some carrot sticks and some celery sticks and some nice Syrian bread and some pita chips. Bagel chips would be good too. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Shoot the moon, babies. Anyhow, so that is my white bean hummus, and it is fantastic. Yay, hooray! Now let's move on to our Mediterranean bowls, or as Mrs. C would have called this dish, Bulgur a banadora. I hope, yeah, I'm pretty sure I mangled that, but that's what she would have called it. And this is exactly how she taught me to make it. I'm sure that there are a million varieties and twists on this recipe, but this is how I was taught, and this is what my family loves, and I know that Danny will especially love this. So I've got 1 pound of ground beef that I just rapidly thawed in the microwave because, like, it was last minute notice, and you know what? That's just fine. They're family. You don't have to give notice when you're family. You just pop right on in, baby. It'll be all right. Gonna get that browning on like a 5. In fact, I'm just gonna kind of set it and forget it over there for a few minutes while we do a few other things. Have a nice yellow onion, and gonna give that a chippity chop. There we go. Boy, that's a tough one. How are y'all doing today? What's new and exciting with you? What's going on? Tell me down below. Well, other than the microwave debacle, not much is going on around here. It was about 77 degrees today and sunny. And I know a lot of you are cold. I'm so sorry. Your winter is so rough. Our winter is pretty much over, and we're going to be having rough weather here pretty soon. So, yeah, it'll be rough when it's 120 here, and y'all tell me about your 80-degree days, or your rainstorms, or, you know, yeah, all those things. And then I will be very envious of you, but I'll still love you. It won't matter. Anyhow, yeah, we just hung out today, did some housework, did some yard work. Thank goodness I already changed the sheets on the bed, so I don't have to worry about that. Hazel's in here, just cruising for yum-yums because she doesn't think that she got enough dinner, but she totally did. But she could go for a midnight snack, huh, baby? Yeah. Anyhow, I'm going to chop up about half of this onion. And that's going to be plenty for us, thank goodness. So, this is a nice big one. If it was a smaller onion, I might go ahead and do the whole thing. But this one's pretty big, so I think it's going to suit us just fine. Anyhow, I love this dish. So Mrs. C taught me to make this because I wanted my international cuisine badge when I was a missionette. Yeah, I was a missionette through a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away through the Pentecostal church. And yeah, that was one of the badges that I really wanted, was my was my international cooking badge, and so she helped me get it because she was the only person that I knew that made anything besides, just Southern American cuisine. And she had a good time teaching me. I had a good time learning. And she was just a pistol. She lived well into her 90s, so she was my granny for a long, long time. And she was just an outstanding woman. But she would cook some things. You learn to eat a lot of things at her house. You come over, you want breakfast? Well, sure. Absolutely. What are you making? It looks like eggs. Yeah, it's eggs. And she'd heap you up a plate and pass it over, and you'd eat. These are the best eggs I ever had. And she'd snicker a little bit and walk away. Miss C, why is that funny? Because it's brains and eggs, and I didn't want to tell you it was brains because I didn't want you to make a face first. But now you know you like brains and eggs. So yeah, that was brains and eggs. Had it at her house for the first time, and you want to know what? She was right. It's absolutely delicious. I don't know that I would eat it now, because I'm worried about all the things too much now, E. coli, Creutzfeldt-Jakob, mad cow disease. But I learned a lot of things and a lot of good life lessons from her. I'm telling you what, I've been really fortunate in my life. I have had a lot of excellent women to learn from. And I am grateful to each and every one of them. From my mom and my grandmas and my great-grandma Lily and Mrs. C and, well, my sisters, even though some of them were juvenile delinquents, you know what? There was something to be learned from them too, if nothing but a cautionary tale at times. All right, this is going well. I'm going to go ahead and get my onion in there to just do its thing and brown up with that beef. Yippee skippy. We'll be coming back to it shortly. I have 3 really large tomatoes here. If you didn't have large tomatoes, Mrs. C actually used 2 large cans of stewed tomatoes, or you could use chopped, whatever you can get your hands on. I just have all of these tomatoes that I got in my produce on wheels without waste basket, and you know what? They're fantastic. They got a few outside little blemishes on them, but those are easy enough to just cut away. And you can see they're perfectly fine underneath. So there we go. Yippee skippy. What about this one? That one looks pretty good. All right. So we're just going to chop these up. Give them the quick old chippity chop. So yeah, I've known a lot of great women, a lot of strong, powerful women in my life. And, grateful to all of them. Andrew's Aunt Esther, she was a pioneer. So she worked for Central Bell. That, for those of you that don't know, Bell used to be the phone company, and it was determined that they had a monopoly, and so the Bells broke up. There was Southern Bell, Central Bell, Mountain Bell, that was ours, and they broke up, and now, we have all kinds of telephone companies. But back then, pretty much you had to be part of the Bells. Anyhow, she worked for Central Bell for years, and she trained telephone operators, and she would hire women that a lot of other people would pass up. And she would hire women who were newly divorced, and this was back like in the 50s. Being a telephone operator was one of those careers that were mostly held by women back then. And she would hire newly divorced women, women whose husbands may have left them, or widows, or because they needed the job, they wanted the job, and they were going to be excellent employees. And then she would help them. She would help them throughout their careers. She'd let them know that her door was always open to them, and that they could come to her at any time with whatever it was that they might need. And she had people when she passed away, from all over the country that came to her funeral to just honor her and honor how she changed their life. And she was just an outstanding lady that gave a lot of women a help up when they most needed it in her community. And so, Aunt Esther, she's a pistol. She's the one that bought our vacuum cleaner for us. And we went to see her many times. She lived in a small town in Missouri called Raytown. If any of you are near Kansas City, then you know Raytown. And so we have had many a visit to Kansas City and to the Raytown area to visit Aunt Esther, who is sadly departed from us now. But yeah, she was one heck of a pistol. I just loved her. Ooh, and she'd tell you off. And yeah, in the nicest way possible. Yeah, she could tell you off and you actually kind of wanted to go. You know what I mean? Anyhow, just, yeah, I'm a lucky person to have had a lot of great women in my life. I never peel tomatoes because, well, I'm just lazy, and I also think that it's mostly pointless. If I was canning tomatoes, then I would definitely peel them because bacteria can sometimes grow between the skin and the tomato flesh in a canning project. But since we're going to be eating this, on the PDQ tomorrow night, I'm going to reheat it very thoroughly. I'm not worried about it one bit, and I'm just not peeling tomatoes. Yeah, it's not going to happen. And feel free to use canned tomatoes. Canned tomatoes are delicious. Canned tomatoes are canned at the peak of season, and they have plenty of tomato juice in them, and they're good. I got no beefs with a canned tomato. I just happen to have beautiful fresh ones today, and yeah, I'm just making the most of it. I'm just loving these all up. Let's take a look at our burger. Okay, well, there we go. Burger's brown and chopped up. That's good. There's onions. They're doing what they're doing. Fantastic. All right, we're almost there. But I do want to chop up this one last tomato in here. Let's see if we can get a little room on the board here, so to speak. We're running out of room. We're going to need a bigger boat. Anybody know what that's from? One of my favorite movies of all times. I know, I'm bad. I like the horror movies. The first movie that I ever remember my parents taking us to, now I'm sure they took us to a Bambi or, Pinocchio or some Snow White, something like that. But the first movie I ever really, really remember my parents taking us to was a double feature, and it was Amityville Horror and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they thought for sure that we would fall asleep in the back of the station wagon, and I just couldn't fall asleep. I was just mesmerized. I couldn't believe, oh, it was so scary, it made me jump, and I just loved that, and I have to tell you, I still love scary movies, and I still like scary books, but when I watch them now, then I have to sleep with the light on now. Back when I was a kid, they didn't bother me, but now, we know about things like, Freddy Krueger might not be real, and Ted Bundy, and things sometimes go bump in the night. When I was a kid, pretty fearless, I was gonna hitchhike to Tennessee. Pretty fearless. As an adult, sometimes I just like to sleep with the light on. Anyhow, all right, we're just cooking right away here. Yes, sir. Here we go. You would think that tomatoes were the star of the show in this recipe, but they're not. Neither is the beef. don't even understand what you're making. Well, this is, yeah. We're getting there. All right, now you add in all of your tomatoes. Yes, please and thank you. Or your 2 large cans. I don't know, what are those, 24-ounce cans? 2 large cans of diced or stewed tomatoes, whatever you got. You know, I'll mess her a little bit. There we go. Yay, hooray. Yippee, skippy. Oh, yeah, those tomatoes. Those smell fantastic. All right. I also have the star of the show. And this is 1.5 cups or 12 ounces of bulgur. What is bulgur? Bulgur is a cereal wheat. It's cracked wheat. It's been parboiled. This is a number 2 grind. So it is pretty finely ground. You may have had it before if you have ever eaten tabbouleh salad. And so, yeah, this is what it looks like when it's uncooked. And we're just going to go ahead. This is the star of the show. This is the bulgur part. So we'll go ahead. Where can you find this? You can find this at Winco and Bulk Foods. You can find this over in the grains aisle. You know, where the dried beans are, where the lentils are, where the rice is, that kind of thing. You can find it there. You can find it at Middle Eastern stores. You can find it at health food stores. It has a lot of health benefits to it. I have 24 ounces of that delicious vegetable broth that we made the other day that we're going to be repurposing in this recipe. Yay, hooray. So bulgur, just like rice, is a 2-to-1 ratio. 1 part bulgur to 2 parts liquid. And it will also need some time to cook. And keep an eye on it because you might actually need to add a little bit more liquid. But we have that really great flavorful broth in there. That's going to be adding a lot to our dish. And this is going to make a lot of food. But it will be delicious. Now let's go ahead and add quite a bit of salt to it because those tomatoes are going to need it. That bulgur is completely unseasoned. And it's going to need it. Okay, there we go. We've got some salt. Let's add some pepper. There we go. Let's add a little more of the ground cumin in there. Yes, please. Again, I'm going to go with a teaspoon now and reserve the right to add more later. I want to add a little bit more of the turmeric to it too. Here we go. Ground garlic. Hello, Gilroy. And I'm also going to add about 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. Absolutely. Yay, hooray. Oh, and I almost forgot. I have a little bit of tomato powder because the recipe did call for tomato paste, but I don't have any. So about a teaspoon of tomato powder just to amp up that good tomato taste to it. All right, here we go. It's got herbs, it's got spices, it's got salt, it's got all the things. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to turn that on low. And I'm going to let this baby simmer for at least 30 minutes because I want that bulgur to develop. And it will take time for that to happen. You can pre-soak your bulgur just like you would pre-soak beans. But, you know, we've got water, we've got heat, we've got time. If you were clinched for time, though, soak these for at least 30 minutes before adding them in so that they process faster. But, yeah, they'll be fun. I'm just going to go ahead and turn those on, let those do what it does, And we'll be back soon. Take a look at it and see what's going on. But the smells, it's already got all of those great smells. Yay, hooray. Okay, well, it's now time to assemble our bowls, and I am ready. I'm actually serving mine on like a large pasta plate because I don't think a bowl can contain it. I am so excited. I have a bag of fresh spinach, and that's going to be my first layer. Yay, hooray. And bulgur is really good for you. It is high in fiber, it has protein, it's delicious, and you know, for me, I think it's the star of the show. About $6 for a 24-ounce bag over at the Wally World. About $2 per pound over at the Winco in the bulk bins. Yeah, it's got all the things. So there we go. I think that looks terrific. And look how far we have stretched 1 pound of hamburger. I mean, this thing is just heaped full. This is many, many servings. This will feed us, all 4 of us, tomorrow night for dinner. And I'm going to send some home with them. And I'm going to probably have to put some in the freezer for later, but that's okay. Because this will be fantastic. And it will be even better tomorrow. So I'm just going to make myself a small serving, kind of as a midnight snack. Maybe I'll share it with Andrew. Maybe, if he's lucky. And there we go. Just layer that right there on top. Oh, yeah. Could you use the ground lamb? Absolutely. Ground chicken, ground turkey, you know, whatever you got. Don't want to put any meat in it at all? Well, make it vegetarian. Just use the bulgur and the tomatoes. If you wanted to bulk that up with a squash or even an eggplant or some beans, that would be fantastic. Maybe like a nice butter bean would be amazing. Now, typically on top of this, you're going to add some fresh herb, some mint, some basil, you know, whatever you can get your hands on, if you can get anything. So, you know, what do I have in my garden? I got some basil. I got some fresh basil. And you know what? I'm just going to tear it. I'm just going to informally just tear it up and throw it right on top here. And I just gave this a little wash up in my sink. And like I said, for now, it's just me. And I'm just taking a little midnight snack. I'm also going to serve this aside of a nice plain Greek yogurt. And you can just, you know, go ahead and put as much or as little as you want. This would also be really great with some tzatziki sauce if you were so inclined. I didn't make any, but you know, I got hours till they come, so it might happen, but I doubt it. I think the plain Greek yogurt is going to be fantastic. Now, I think that is good enough to eat. Oh, it's got all the smells. It smells like a Mediterranean bazaar in here. It smells amazing. I'm super excited. I'm going to go have my little Mediterranean vacation. I'm going to eat this as a midnight snack, and I'm reading Cujo to Hazel. Hope she doesn't get any ideas. Anyhow, be good. Be careful. Look both ways. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Crazy But Not Dangerous. Big old smooches. Huge squeeze-a-ronies. And I hope wherever you are tonight, babies, that you are safe, warm, and loved. See you next time. Bye now.